Okay, so let's talk about enrolling qualified students in inbound call handling. Before we do anything else, let's make one thing 100% clear. Your goal is not to convince or sell everyone who calls. On this first phone call, I want to make that clear, right? This is the first call. This is somebody that saw your flyer and is calling you, or they saw you on Facebook and they're calling you for the very first time. The initial job is to ask great questions to qualify the student and guide them toward the best class if they're a good fit. Qualify the student? What does that mean? What do you think that means to qualify a student?
I think it's just to see if they're a good fit.
But what does that mean to you? What does that mean? They're a good fit if they want to learn English, right?
Well, do they have time? Or can they afford the classes? Are they ready for that investment? Are they ready for the time commitment of the actual schedule for classes? Do our schedules coincide? Am I
Yeah.
available the times they need?
So that's good, right? You're talking about kind of logistics qualifications, right? So in short, not every student's going to make a great student. Qualifying students means to try and filter out students that aren't going to be a good fit for you before signing them up. So you're focusing your attention on students that are most likely to be long-term, appreciative, paying students. So logistics is part of it. We're also just trying to see, like, is this person cool? Let's see. It's like dating. Yeah, kind of, right? Yeah, you want to make sure that you're going to get along with the person. So this is exactly, I think, like what you were saying, Cody. Typically speaking, the first step is to determine their level, their availability, if they prefer to study online or in person. Without this information, you might make a bad offer. And I've had this happen once. I actually signed up a student. This happened just very, very recently. I forgot to ask if the person wanted in person or online classes. And I signed the person up and I took their money thinking that I was signing them up for an in person class. And then when I told her that the class was in person, she said, "Whoa, I can't do in person. I can only do online." And I had to scramble and figure something out, right? So like it happened. I've been doing this a long time, and sometimes you don't follow the steps that you're supposed to, and you get yourself in this situation, right? So it's very, very important that you have all this information because you might make a bad offer or spend time trying to sign someone up that you simply can't work with or isn't a good fit for your classes. This is also the big one for me. You'll also learn a lot about students by how they conduct themselves during this process, and red flags may come up as warnings that they won't be a good fit. And we're going to have a whole training dedicated to red flags. But I remember when I had my in person school, I used to work with this woman named Frances, and I was just in full on like sales mode back then, and like trying to grow the business and get revenue and stuff like that, that I employed all my, hardcore closing tactics, and I was just signing students up. And I can't tell you how many times, dozens of times, where the student would leave the office and I'd look at Francis and I'd say, that student's going to be a nightmare. And Francis would look at me and say, well, why did you sign him up? And I said, I don't know. That's what I do. Right. And sure enough, every single time that student turned out to be a nightmare. They would come into class, they would be disruptive or disrespectful. They would not pay. They would ask for their money back. There would be something that would happen that would just create a nightmare. They would leave me a 1-star review. And I knew it before I even signed them up. But there's the salesperson in me, right? Of wanting to get the deal done. And I can tell you, after many, many years of experience in getting beaten the head with my own hammer enough times, that you don't want to sign every student up. And it's you want to clear the path for good students, okay? All right. How to answer the phone. Smile. You want to be energetic. You're the first impression. This is what they say about making a good first impression. You only have one chance. So yes, smile. It transfers across the phone. So go ahead, and I want to hear both of you, or let's go with Cody. Say this without a smile.
Turn your camera off so we can double blind
Okay.
or single blind.
Hola, soy Cody con clases de inglés en línea. ¿En qué te puedo servir?
Okay, now smile. Now,
Hola, soy Cody con clases de inglés en línea. ¿En qué te puedo servir?
all right, nice. So Julieta,
Okay, cool.
which one sounds better the first time from what Cody just said?
Oh, the second one sounded way better.
Okay, now your turn.
Hola, soy Julieta con The Language School, la escuela de idiomas. ¿En qué te puedo servir?
All right, hit me with a smile.
That was my smile.
That was your smile.
I was mixing it up. Here's
I,
my nod.
I was gonna say stop smiling. I almost said stop smiling when you first
Good.
started.
You could hear it.
I swear I was gonna say stop smiling, but okay. So now hit us without the smile.
Hold on, let me fix my face. Hola, soy Julieta con la escuela de idiomas. ¿En qué te puedo servir?
Yeah, Cody, which one sounded better?
The first one sounded great.
Why?
Because it just sounded like she wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, the second one just sounded cold to me, right? Like
Yeah.
it was interesting doing it backwards, right? Because
Mhm.
the first one, when you were saying it, I was like, wow, she sounds pretty friendly, even though.
I know, right? She sounded great.
But then when he said the second one, I was like, oof, I felt like I just gotten inside of my refrigerator. I was like, bam, that's cold, right? So this is very interesting. I learned this a very, very long time ago. That people that work in telecommunications or telesales or any type of customer service related job that involves talking to people on the phone, day number one of their training, they're told to smile on the phone. And why? You can tell the difference, right? That's tonality. They say something like 93% of communication is nonverbal, only 7% is the words you say. And that's a good example of it, right? You just said the exact same two things, but the intonation in your voice was completely different. And one of them makes it sound like you want to talk to me, and the other one makes it sound like I'm bothering you, right? All right, now, the typical questions that I'll ask people immediately. ¿Cuál es tu nombre? First and foremost. I want to know who I'm talking to. Why is that important?
I just did a training on pronouns and using pronouns in Spanish. And the first question they asked was, what happens when you don't name something? And the answer is like, you make that thing feel invisible. So I would say that here again.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's one way to think about it, right? Have either of you ever read Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People? Read it. Read it. There's a whole chapter in there about just using people's names. He makes the comparison, something like somebody's name is the sweetest sound in
Oh,
the
I have heard that.
dictionary, right?
I think I
Something like
listened to
that.
it in audio. I think I listened to the audiobook.
Yeah, your own name is the sweetest sound that you will ever hear. Have you ever been in a public place? Like, well, I don't know if both you guys don't have names as common as me. My name is David, right? So I get like I'll be at the grocery store, David, and I turn, what? Oh, it's not for me, right? Like, yeah, as soon as you hear your name, you get excited, right? So the reason why we always start by asking what somebody's name is because throughout the conversation, we should keep referring to that person by their name. It makes them feel good, right? ¿Quieres comenzar desde cero o hacer una evaluación para determinar tu nivel de inglés? This is a funny one. You'll be surprised at how many people don't know if they speak English or not. but it really is a thing, right? I've tried to frame this, and this has come over, many variations of asking this question. This does a little bit better, but you'll still get people that they want to tell you their life story and everything that they've done, and I don't care. It's do you want to start from zero, or do you want to take the there's only two options. We're
Yeah.
starting from zero, or we're taking the evaluation. If there's any doubt, force them to take the evaluation. Whatever, I had this happen the other day, oh, I'm a or no, what did she tell me? I'm an intermediate beginner. Tengo un nivel intermedio básico. Like, what does that even mean? So I was like, okay, if there's any doubt, let's just do I don't know what intermedio básico means, so let's do the. And there's all kinds of evaluations out there, right? You've got the European framework, you've got CASAs. Every single school does their own, so I've had people like, oh, I'm a level 4. I'm like, what does level 4, like, according to who? We always do our evaluation. I don't care where they studied, what their level was, what grade they got, how many years. If there's any doubt, I want to take you through my conversational evaluation, because my conversational evaluation corresponds with my levels, right? Does that make sense? Cool. ¿Cuál es tu disponibilidad para tomar clases? When are you available, right? Like, I personally don't teach in the evenings because I need that time to go dance salsa or to be with my son or whatever. By the way, Huli, you missed out last night. The Avalon was awesome.
I was gonna ask if you had gone. You went then.
So and this has happened, right? Where I've talked to somebody for 20 minutes and then realized, like, oh my God, this person needs a class at a time that I'm not even available. So you just want to get this stuff out of the way. Prefiere clases presenciales o en línea por Zoom, right? In your case, I think, Cody, you do stuff on Google Meets. So replace Zoom with Google Meets. That's pretty straightforward. Donde vives? This is if you're doing in-person classes. While I do get students that come from very far distances, it always turns into a problem. I've had students that come from Brighton. I've had students come from Colorado Springs. I've had students come from Fort Collins, and they sign up, and then after the first 2 classes, they stop coming, right? So, like, use that for what it's worth. Not to say that that's instantly going to disqualify somebody, but I would make somebody talk me into working with them if they're coming from a very far distance, right? The reason why is they sign up, they take a seat in your class, then they stop, and then they want a refund. And it's like that. It's not my problem that you signed up for this class, right? Like, you don't ever want to be in the business of giving refunds. That creates complications. Now, the interesting part about all of these questions, it's important, and you'll have people try and flip it. Like, I'll get people, they don't want to tell me what their name is, and I will tell them good luck and hang up the phone. If you can't tell me what your name is, like, I'm an English teacher, my job is to help you, and if I can't even imagine what's going on in that person's head that they won't tell me what their name is. But, like, I'm sorry if you, like, I'm here to really help people out, and I only work with people that I can tell we're going to get along with. And so if you can't tell me your name, I can already tell we're not going to get along with each other very well, right?
So is that a person who called you to ask about English classes and they wouldn't give you their name?
Yeah. Oh, no. Just tell me how much it costs. Well, hold on. Let's slow down. My name's David. What's your name? No. Tell me how much it costs. Well, you can't tell me what your name is? Just tell me how much it costs. Okay, listen, I wish you the best of luck, but, like, that's not how I work. So, like, there's other places out there, and goodbye. Like, seriously, that's extremely rude behavior. And we were talking about this the other day, Julia, right? Like, we're in the business, like, we have a business, we have customers, but our customers are our students. And we have to maintain that teacher-student respect. So, like, if you won't tell me what your name is, there's some serious respect. Like, I don't know what that is, but I don't want any part of it, right? So look at this. If it seems like a good fit, depending on how they go through this process with you, you're gonna learn, like, is this you want people that are gonna be agreeable and coachable, right? Like, if somebody doesn't want to follow this process, then how are they gonna follow your process in class? How are they going to do the study plan that you lay out for them? They've told you they can't follow a process, and it'll happen. And that's typically what it comes down to is, hey, I want to know how much the classes cost, where they're located, when they are. But that one about the cost, like, that's the number one thing that comes up. So ask me how much it costs. Either one of you.
How much does it cost?
How much does what cost?
Your English classes?
Oh, which English class?
They're different priced?
Well, yeah. What's your level? What time are you available? How often do you want to go to class? There's a whole bunch of things that can change the cost. What does it mean? What are you talking about? The English class? Which English class? I don't know which English class you need, right? I can't tell you how much it costs because I don't know what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? But you will get people that insist on knowing the price. And those people that insist on knowing the price are probably super price sensitive, and it doesn't matter if it's $5 or $500. They're not going to pay for it. They're telling you that they don't value education. They value the price more than the experience, right? So yeah, not to say that everybody's going to disqualify or be like that. I'm just kind of giving you a little preview of what some of the red flags look like. Obviously, a lot of things. Most people, they might lead with how much does it cost, and then you just have to say, like, I would love to tell you how much it costs, but for me to tell you how much it costs, I need to know a little bit more information, right? To make sure I'm giving you the right information. So this will work a little bit better if you just let me ask a couple of questions here. Super simple, super short. Cody.
So do you recommend having the pricing on your website or not having that and just waiting for the discussion?
Ultimately, it's going to depend on exactly how you're running your classes, but I prefer not to have pricing listed. In my situation, right? So, like, my price depends on if you are taking group classes or private classes. So let's just talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
For private lessons, I charge $100 an hour. For group classes, it might be $97 a month, right? The problem with, and that might be very straightforward and seems simple enough. The problem is people are making split-second decisions, and they're not actually reading what they're reading. So you might think you have it really clearly defined on your website that private classes are $100 an hour. Well, the person just saw $100 an hour and has disqualified the group classes because that's all they saw. They've done a lot of studies, and they've seen that in the world of the internet, all this has changed since the internet, and especially since these things came out, our smartphones came out. Most people are looking at information on their phones right now on a very tiny screen, and they see $100 and they haven't read anything else. So they don't even know what the $100 mean. That's why I say I probably, if I don't like to have pricing. I like to have the pricing discussion after I've determined the pain, after I've built a little rapport with the person. And so that's specifically why I don't like to have if you have the price listed on your website, it turns you into a commodity, right? They're comparing these apples with these apples, and you haven't had a chance to differentiate yourself from the other guy. Like, I don't know, you mentioned that you like do some stuff on platforms. Like, platforms don't let you differentiate yourself. I mean, I don't, it's you called it the race to the bottom, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't teach on those anymore. I haven't for a long time.
yeah. So that's now some teachers, like, if you are only providing private lessons, then list your prices clearly. That's fine, right? Like, I only do private classes, 5 hours for $500 and 10 hours for $900. Like, maybe it's always nice to give a little discount and some type of incentive to motivate longer term studies. If I were only doing private lessons, I would probably list my prices, right? Just to be transparent. But since I have different options, I think it's much better to do it this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see here. It is now 1:17, so that's about as far as we're going to get today. Let's see here. Do you have enough time to stay on for just a few more minutes to go through this next?
I should go because I have to prep for a class in 12 minutes.
Okay, well then I will leave it at here for today. We'll pick up here in the next class. Before we go, questions, comments, how helpful was this training for you today?
It was very helpful, and I think we should plan to meet at a salsa club sometimes.
Agreed.
Let's do it. La
Agreed.
rumba me está llamando.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be in touch, Cody.
Okay.
For if you got to go, Juli, go ahead. For next week, we're plan on just continuing this. I know, Cody, you specifically asked about handling objections, and I'm purposely not purposefully purpose on purpose. I'm not doing it right now because if we do this other stuff the right way, then we shouldn't have to handle objections.
Okay.
So I'm putting that on the back burners. Not that I'm ignoring you. I just want to I want to go through this other stuff first, because when done right, then you don't have to handle objections.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other thing that you wish you would have seen today to make sure to hit next week? Okay.
No, but I did appreciate the pricing discussion because I would have, without thinking about it or taking that perspective you just gave, David, I would have said, yeah, just put it all on the website. It's like a job, it's like posting a job request without putting how much you're paying the person.
Exactly. Which I hate.
I do too, but I can see it both ways. It's a psychological tactic to lure people in to kind of, like what you said, I think last week, get people, you're not selling, what did you say? Like, you're not selling it. You want them to want it at the end. You're not, I don't remember how you said it last week, but
Yeah, I mean, like, it's so going through this process of discovering pain. It's like you're helping. I think I said you ask these questions so they talk themselves into it.
yes.
So I'm not talking you into it, right? You're talking. I'm going to ask you these questions because when you hear yourself say the answer out loud, you're telling yourself already why you should talk. And so then I'm like, so what do you want to do? They're like, oh, I want to give you a whole bunch of money. It's like, okay, cool, let's do it. Right? So, pricing is a fun, at the same time, this isn't a super complex sale, but I do think there's just like, if I'm buying tennis shoes, right? Like, size, fit, that's it, right? Like, okay, $97 on Amazon, perfect, bam, I hit the money, I hit the pay button, and I get them in a couple of days. Maybe I'm looking at these Nikes that are 50 and these Reeboks that are 60. I don't know, like, but in this situation, the problem is if we're going to charge $100 an hour, we have to differentiate ourselves from the other guys, right? The other guys are putting their pricing out because at the community college, they're doing English classes. And what are we doing?
Conversation.
We're doing conversational English classes and
Culture or something.
cultural assimilation. Yes. That's what, and keep that in mind. That's a differentiator. That's what we're looking to do. So